that all our heart desires will come true and our plans will come to pass. My name is Perpetua Iboba. We have a lot packaged for you today, from trending issues to newspaper headline segment to the interview segment. We have a lot, trust me. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. But first things first, we'll begin with the interview segment. And today we'll be engaging in a very thoughtful conversation on two important and often debated topics in the Nigerian society. I'm talking about no other than the VAPP law and also the issue of indecent dressing. Yes, as it relates to Delta State. Let's bring it back home. Yes, as it relates specifically to Delta State. Now, the VAPP Act was enacted at the federal level in 2015, and later it was domesticated by various states, including our beloved state, Delta. And this seeks to address a wide range of violence-related issues, especially those affecting women and vulnerable populations. Now, to help us unpack these complex and timely issues, we are joined by no other than Dr. Tunde Toliogo. Yes, he is a lecturer in the University of DOU. Good morning, Dr. Tunde.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so please can you help us throw more light on the VAPP law and also the law that governs the issue of indecent dressing, most especially bringing it back home to Delta State?
Basically, I want to commend the House of Assembly, the present leadership, for the enactment of that law, particularly as it concerns the indecent dressing.
Okay.
You discover that the word indecent is an adjective.
Yes.
And modifies a noun. Indecent is when, let me paint the picture, when you are not in the right state of dressing, when you are not in the conformity or a standard. For instance, you are going to church, you are wearing a spaghetti and your tummy is showing. That's a typical example of indecent dressing. And society is turning rot today. When you walk out along the streets of Asaba, you see them dressed half naked. Even married women, they go braless, and it's not good for our cultural believers, Africans. Even in the school where I teach, if you are indecently dressed, you don't attend my class. I want to commend them. It's a right step in the right direction. Also, too, I want to say that it's not enacting law that matters. What matters is the strict implementation of that law.
Great. I'm happy that you talked about the strict implementation of the law. Now, bringing it home to Delta State, has it been domesticated? If yes, when? And what prompted this move for the domestication of these laws?
Well, the primary duty of a lawmaker is to make law for the good people of Nigeria.
Sure.
I wish to marry to Delta State. In their own wisdom, they see now, they have feedbacks. Asaba is gradually becoming a hub of prostitution, cluster of prostitutes, not only in the major hotspots that we have in the state, virtually everywhere in the streets. You see these hookup girls, you see them dressing to kill who? The answer is to kill foolish men that are not principled. And the worst thing is that our mothers today, they are doing nothing about it. Even the church is doing nothing about it. But most times when you go to church, you see guests dressed nude. Most times I stop them. It's a culture. It's in Nigeria gradually trying to be Catholic than the Pope. Like in the Western world today, you see, it's a norm for you to dress half naked. That's their culture, maybe because their weather. For instance, if you want to talk about the word indecent, it has to do with location, situation.
Yes.
For instance, if you are going to the beach with your husband or your wife, you have to wear a bikini to swim.
Yes.
That is not indecent dressing as a result of the situation.
Because of the context.
Because of the context,
and
the location.
Environment. Okay.
For instance, you are in the office now, a girl wears a micro mini and wears a camisole, braless. The guy has an intention to ruin the stupid man who is coming to seduce. Basically, this indecent dress is not only characterized to just the female folk. It's just that male folk takes a larger chunk of the blame.
Okay, so the male folk too are also involved in the indecent dressing.
They are also involved, but when you tend to look at the percentage, it's clear that although the male folk are driven into drug once they are high, they tend to sag, they tend to dress in the manner of almost being naked.
Okay.
We see them in the streets. I feel that for the male folk dressing indecently is as a result of the influence of not just alcohol, but of drugs.
Okay, great. So, moving on to the knowledge that people have about this now, specifically for those in the rural areas, how aware are they of these rules, and most especially the protection offered by the VAPP laws? How aware are they, most especially when you look at where they live, you know, in the riverine areas, sometimes in the bushes, hard to reach areas? So how aware of these are they of these laws existing, you know, for their protection?
Well, it's very simple. So we have 3 tiers of government when we talk about federal, state, and the local government. It's the duty of the local government to further enforce this. How do we enforce it? You enforce it using the various councillors, opinion leaders, to transmit such laws by using our L1 to educate them that this is bad, this is bad. If you do this, you face this. I think the enforcement has to be taken to the grassroots basically, because the grassroots, you just made mention of the rural area where no light and all that, maybe athletic parts of life, they tend to copy the wrong thing. And they copy the wrong thing by, those girls in Asaba, they dress very fine, let me copy what they are doing. So it is the duty of the council chairman, the local government, to further instruct the local government chair, the various councillors in the various wards, and these various councillors will also go back to their communities, enlightening the traditional rulers and opinion leaders to do a town hall talk, or even use the traditional means of disseminating information, the town crier, to pass this message across so that it will have meaning.
Okay, so in your words now, it's just from the top and then it's cascaded down and down and down, like it's step by step till it gets to those at the grassroots. Well, it's one thing to have these laws on paper, I know for sure, and it's another thing to implement them and over time look at the impact it will have on most especially those it is targeted at. Now this brings me to my next question. Now, what specific challenges do law enforcement agencies and also the judiciary in Delta State face in implementing the VAPP law?
Like I said earlier on, implementation process is the problem.
Okay.
I've seen Nigeria as a holding talks by Olarotimi. We have beautiful laws. The execution process is a problem. I want to advise, if this law will be much more effective, there should be task force. For instance, during the era of our immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, there's what we call war against indiscipline, where there is this strict punishment for those that are not disciplined. We are in a democratic dispensation, we can't do that, but we can do that by using task force. If you are half naked, you are taken to the police station, you are tried immediately, and you are sentenced without an option of fine. I think that will send message that this law is out to take its course. It should be a mobile court.
So there is an immediacy, you know, immediately they are looking
yes,
at
immediately
this
they are
review,
tried,
and there should be no option of
no
fine.
option of fine. That will serve as a deterrent, and that will tell them that this law has come to stay.
Oh wow! But in your own opinion now, has the law made a real difference when it comes to gender-based violence in the state?
Yes, there's a difference. You see, it's only a stupid man that will raise his hands and begin to beat a woman. You know, women have a natural gift. They know how to talk. A woman can talk you down in 2 minutes. Then as a civilized man, if you hear such offensive, what to do? You just walk away, or you pretend being dumb.
I think talking down on people is individual based, not
No,
gender
women
based.
has this penchant of running men down, both relationship,
think
both legal
both
and illegal
sides.
relationship. No,
Okay.
that's my view on that.
Okay, great. But okay, apart from the impact the state has when it comes to implementing these laws now, we also have different opinion leaders like traditional rulers, religious institutions. Now, how have this set of people, most especially in the states, how have they responded to this VAPP law?
It talks about information.
Okay.
Now, let me go back to the 29 House Assembly members. It is their duty to also transmit this to their immediate constituency. Apart from the chairman, the various members of the local government enforcing such, it is their duty to drive home, because their duty is to represent the people. To call a town hall meeting, for instance, I'm from Amai,
Okay.
can drive to the gate of Amai King Palace and said, call a full meeting of the traditional rulers. This is what is in place. I don't want my community to be involved. By so doing, it begins to go down, 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 down. The enforcement process should, as a matter of fact, start from the state capital. First, in my presence, I said that I'm looking for the act and I go straight to the head. If the state government is able to show scapegoats as regards stiffer punishment of 1, 2, 3 call girls, because incidents can be tied basically 70% to call girls. There may be students.
Okay.
If 2, 3 persons is tried and they are sent to Ogwashuku without option of fine, or give them community punishment, give them a very big portion of grass to clear, and is recorded, it will serve as a deterrent. It's a right step in the right direction, but my problem is implementation.
Okay. But now, is there a noticeable difference between how urban and rural audience in Delta States, is there a noticeable difference between how both of them are responding to this particular issue? Because those in rural areas, they may have that kind of, would I say, that kind of influence of cultural beliefs, which they may like to front, while those in urban areas may just, take it down. So is there a difference between how both sect or both group of people located in different areas, is there a difference to how they respond to this particular issue?
Definitely there's a difference now. You won't compare the urban awareness with rural awareness.
Okay.
There are some communities today in Delta State, they don't have light. There are some communities today that are, I'm not trying to indict the government. There are some communities today that you see that before they get light, it will take at least 2 weeks, although that's especially the federal government issue.
Okay.
Reacting to this law varies. Like in the States now, for those that are opportune to be watching us live and direct now, they are aware that we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are news conscious, most people, they don't read.
Mm-hmm.
They will see it. But in the rural setting also too, if a tanker, like I said earlier on, do that, it will go a long way. Then definitely also too, I also want to ask the government to also use drama as a means for correcting this.
In the rural areas?
In the rural and the urban area.
Okay.
There should be a playlet on decent dressing and an immediate repercussion of indecent dresser. That also send a fast one to people, because drama tends to give you life.
Okay. So when you were talking at the beginning, you made it seem like the indecent dressing, the female folk are responsible 70 to 80%, and in your words you said, and the influence comes from the male folk, when they start to engage in drugs or illicit activities and all of that. So do you think the way women are portrayed, in as much as it's not all of them that dress indecently, but do you think that the way they are portrayed influence public behavior or attitude towards them, most especially in the state?
Well, there's an adage that says that tell me your friends and I'll show you who you are.
Okay.
Influence. I'm not saying that the Western culture is not good. If you go back 20 years ago in this country, see 2000, this issue of indecent dressing is not there. Social media has done more harm than good to this generation. And we tend to copy foolishly. As an African, for crying out loud, you don't have the right of dressing indecently. That's why most times, I'm a Christian, I love the Muslim culture. You don't see sensitive parts of a Muslim, of a true Muslim, a female Muslim. So that they are veiling, or what they are wearing is above their knees. You take it back to the Orthodox Church also too. You don't go to a church, you don't go to an Orthodox church if your hair is not tied and not wear dress. But the Pentecostal takes it. So the society is a problem. You see, if Nigeria wants to get better, Delta wants to get better, it is the duty of the family. The family first. For instance, in my house, I have daughters, they don't dress anywhere. You can dress where you want inside the house. For instance, a married woman can dress on a very hot bikini. That is, you want to have your husband. Because it's the eye that attracts the man. And women tend to be attracted or be addicted to what they hear. So the second system here, they tend to be very militant in nature.
About arrest.
About arrest. Come to think about it, it's a civil offense, it's not a criminal offense.
Okay.
It's civil in nature. So you just need to use a lot of wisdom, and that has to do with whoever that's leading the task force in the state or the local government. They need refined and experienced people, particularly the female folk.
So females should arrest
females,
not the men coming for the females.
Because it can be twisted that you are harassing me.
Okay.
Why are you harassing me? But if a female is talking to a female indecent dresser, there will be mutual understanding.
Okay, that because it's coming from a woman,
yes,
so I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So, so what role can the education sector or education institution play in promoting awareness and advocacy of the VAPP law, cascading it down to students? What role can they play in actualizing all of this?
First and foremost, the primary, secondary, and tertiary institution, there should be awareness. There should be posters or billboard in front of the school. Displaying, like in my school, there's a small flex banner indicating that if you are dressed like this, you won't enter.
Okay, so there are images.
Yes,
yes. Oh, great.
There are images, and such images we tend to portray or
something
send
like
a message.
this, like an image displayed on screen right now.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Like
if you are dressed like this, you can't enter my class.
Oh.
I'll turn you back.
Oh, great.
And they know me for that.
Another one being displayed.
Okay.
Awesome.
Dressing to kill who? To kill stupid men.
Okay. All right. But are there criticisms against or limitations against the VAPP Act that you would love to highlight? Are there limitations on this law?
For every law, there is merit and demerit. Okay. I just told you one, and that caps it all. A woman should address a female indecent dresser.
Okay.
If a man goes, the next thing, the person that is indecently dressed can easily says he is harassing me sexually. And that becomes when the plaintiff becomes the defender. Why are you harassing me? Are you my parents? So the opinion leaders needs a lot to do. The church, no, first of all, the family. To me, parents these days have failed.
If you say parents these days, I feel like you are generalizing it.
So
all parents.
No, in research,
okay.
If you are carrying out a sample
of
100, for instance, a population of 151 against 49, you generalize in research.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
In research. Yes, that's in research.
These days, parents are just after pursuing money. You want to make money as against bringing your children up properly. The Bible says, train up a child in the way of the Lord. When he grows, he will not depart from it. Most parents do, particularly career parents that pursues money. So that's the root cause of all these things that we're seeing, because if we really take time to observe and correct our children, these things will be a ratio of corruption and indecent dressing, prostitution, drug addiction will reduce to at least to barest minimum.
So in your own opinion now, there is an attention diversion on the part of parents and their children to trying to make ends meet and survive. Okay, great. But then, do you believe that concerns about issues of indecent dressing are more about morality or social control?
I look at it from two broad spectrum. One, as an African, I will speak like an African man.
Okay.
Morality. A right African girl that is trained have no business of wearing something that is not, that is how do I put it now? That is showing her sensitive parts.
But then you also
I'm coming.
the issue of
but
watching those interview segments. Well, this is where we wrap up Thursday's edition of Morning Ride. On behalf of the entire crew making the rounds for Thursday's edition of Morning Ride, I want to say special thanks to the producer, Nimibofa Ozibo, the supervising producer, Nimibofa Ozibo, the producer, Vivian Nkechika, the presentation director, Alex Afodo and Ekanem Etim, the cameraman, Eunice Obotu, and the people, or rather the guys at the IT unit. I'm talking about Randy, Martins, and Lawrence. Thank you for being part of today's edition of Morning Ride. Morning Ride returns tomorrow, Friday, bright and early. See you soon. Have an amazing day ahead.